Previously, on the Top Elf Games, we listened as the first two competitors for the coveted position of Santa's Top Elf raced through the festive field obstacle course. Join us today as the holiday traditionalist, Snowflake Sugarsocks, and his Book of Christmas Past dive pointy hat first into the challenges. Welcome to the Top Elf Games. We look out over a snowy North Pole and Santa's workshop. Large flakes of snow gently drift down from above as the sky grows darker, nighttime approaching. The glow of lights warms the edge of the workshop as we zoom across the cozy little village into the stadium packed full of elves. Welcome to Festive Field! The ground inside the stadium is filled with a maze of decorated trees, their lights filling the whole area with blinking racing colors. Bleachers on each side of the stadium are packed full of rosy-cheeked elf spectators, and high above the lights, near the top, is the special guest box where Santa and Mrs. Claus sit watching the games unfold. Rowdy Yule lads and rambunctious elf hooligans jostle and cheer along the sidelines as they wait for the games to start. Mugs of hot cocoa are raised, and many cookies are being eaten as the fans cheer and shout in excitement.
Welcome to the Top Elf Games, one and all. I am your host and MC, Bling Kringleson, joined by my partner and co-MC, Cranberry Eversong. The contestants have taken the field, and the crowd is very merry indeed.
That's right, Bling. This Top Elf Games is shaping up to be a wonderland of excitement.
Right you are, Cranberry. Let's remember, for any elf watching at home, some of the guidelines for the Top Elf Games. Number 1 is to have fun. We at the North Pole have a lot of work to do all year long, but having fun comes first.
Number 2, don't leave any trace or evidence and stay hidden. When we go out with Santa, it's important that we leave no signs we were there. Preserve that Christmas magic. Stay hidden.
Number 3, remember your training. Elves are highly trained and have all sorts of interesting skills and abilities to fall back on. Use those.
And lastly, number 4, use your imagination. As elves, we can solve any problem if we put our minds to it. Using your imagination to solve problems is the elf way.
Each of the contestants have lined up inside Festive Field. You can hear the chanting, yelling crowd calling their names, cheering them on. Ahead is a forest of twinkling Christmas trees, a merry maze. Swirls of magical snow drift and rush over the trees, blurring the distance and catching the rainbow of lights. A Christmas cracker cannon is being cranked into place, preparing to herald the opening of the games. A hush falls over the crowd, and with that, confetti and gumdrops explode out of the cannon, showering the stadium and the crowd as the top elf contestants all race forward and are immediately enveloped by a whirl of snow. They have entered the maze.
Snowflake, how are you feeling this part of the race? I'm excited to do this. This is going to be fun.
The sound of the crowd fades as the magic of the maze takes you deeper into the brightly lit trees. You smell fresh pine and cinnamon. Mounds of snow highlighted by the merry decorations drift across the path you walk upon. You move through freshly fallen snow, the sound of your footfalls crunching in that very satisfying way. Trees tower on both sides of you, and their lights fill the area in shades of blue, then red, white, then gold. Up ahead, you see an opening in the maze. A fog and snow-swirled clearing, and as you approach, you hear the sound of jingle bells, and snow swirls up into your eyes.
It looks like the contestants have reached the first challenge, the stocking stuffer. Here, they must prep 3 stockings with candy canes as quickly as possible.
While maintaining their elf training, of course.
You find yourself standing in the dark corner of a living room on Christmas Eve. A tall tree, fully decorated with lights, covers one corner of the room. Under the tree, a toy train on a track chugs noisily along. Couches and chairs are arranged around a wide end table in the center of the room, and they all face a huge fireplace made of stone. At the base of the fireplace stands a gnome decoration in a pointy hat holding a drum. A wooden mantle rests above the fireplace, covered in a jingle bell garland, family pictures, and knickknacks. 3 long red and white striped stockings dangle down, ready to be filled. On the far end of the room is a tall picture window where you can see the snow slowly drifting down, and the dim lights of a town just outside the house. Santa will be here soon, and you're tasked with preparing the stockings. Remember your training and hurry along, there's much to do. So, as we find Snowflake crouched in the shadows on the edge of this living room, what would you do?
As I survey the room, I'm going to look around to see, to concentrate on how close the tree is to the fireplace, to make sure there's a distance between the tree and the fireplace, and calculate the distance. If I were to climb the tree to get on top of the fireplace mantle, would I be able to fasten some type of candy cane ladder with rope ladder from the tree over to the balcony? And as I sit there and I contemplate for a little bit, I'm like, all right, I think this can work. So I'm gonna run over to the tree and I'm gonna start to look at the underneath of it, see, realize that it's not a real tree and that it's a fake Christmas tree like they've all started to be putting in.
As you run across the room, you cross the middle of the room. I'm going to say that you duck underneath the end table as you're running towards the Christmas tree. Suddenly the eyes on the gnome toy that it's on the base of the fireplace light up, and he begins to bang on his drum. It looks like this is a motion-activated toy, and you set off an alarm.
Okay, so realizing that this is the same story that I read a little while ago within my Christmas book, the magical Christmas book of Christmas Past, I realized that there was a story about setting up that has happened before in, it was 1998, I believe, where another alarm was set off, and a motion detector was set off in the living room, and it was going to be a big nutcracker problem, if I remember correctly, from what Santa was saying, and it was like, oh no, what was he gonna do? So I remember it had something to do with batteries, and I'm gonna try to quickly weave and dodge over to the gnome banging, and I'm gonna try to grab it real quickly and reach in the back and take out its batteries before it can set off any real noise, any real alarm. And then I'm going to scurry real quickly and hide under the presents that their parents have already set there and look around to see if it had actually set off an alarm if anybody's coming.
Sounds like some elf didn't check his list twice.
Give me a disable trap roll. So you're going to roll 2d6 and add up your bonuses.
So it is 9.
Okay, with a 9, you manage to get a success with a complication. So what you end up doing is you quickly pull the battery compartment out, you flip the batteries around, you make the gnome stop making noise. But in doing that, I'm going to say that this was a little bit more exertion than what you were planning on this early in. So you're going to mark 1 tired star.
Okay.
After that, you found yourself crouched underneath the tree, waiting to see if any of the household had stirred from that noise. A few minutes pass, and it looks like no one has noticed that noise, and you've managed to successfully bypass the gnome trap, and you're underneath the tree, so you can begin your climb if you'd like.
All right, so I noticed that these it's a fake Christmas tree, and it's not the sturdy branches of a traditional Christmas pine. So I get as close to the inside as possible, so that I'm not on the outer branches that would be stronger. And I climb up till I'm almost level with where the mantle comes across to the tree bough.
Okay.
And then I start to slowly, as I'm sitting there, take out my tinsel and start wrapping it around ends of the candy cane, so it almost makes it kind of like a hook. And I'm going to toss it, and once I get to the side, I'm going to climb out to the end of the tree. I'm going to toss the candy cane hook so it hooks onto one of the picture mantles that are on the side.
So what we'll do in order to get you to the top of the tree first, because that is going to be a little bit of a climb for you, let's go ahead and make an acrobatics check.
7.
So 7 means that as you climb the tree, there's a few times that you slip. As you said, the plastic Christmas trees or the artificial trees are not quite as sturdy, and there's a lot of very slippery parts inside. You do bang around a little bit, and I'll have you mark 1 more tired. But you get to the top of the tree, or at least high enough that you can line up with the mantle, and you've got your improvised ladder ready to go, and you're going to try to drag the ladder out and drop it across the gap between the tree and the mantle. That'll be an improvised check. check to see how well your ladder worked.
And I'm going to use my wit because I'm using my smarts from trying to do this.
Makes sense.
And I want to check it twice because that was only a 7.
Okay, but when you check it twice, it turns it into an automatic success because you follow all of the rules that have always been done that way on Christmas. You make a perfect ladder and drop it across the gap to the mantle, and with that, you're on the mantle, and it's a simple matter of just dropping a candy cane in each stocking, so there's no roll required for that. As the last candy cane falls into the stocking, the room swirls with snow and the sound of jingle bells. You feel a cool, crisp wind, and when your vision clears, you find yourself standing in a whole new place, a child's bedroom. Your back is pressed up against the cold glass, and you see the Christmas snow drifting down across the town outside. Inside the room, you spot the problem right away. The child is not nestled all snug in their bed. In fact, they're across the room and peeking out the door. A dimly lit room of a young girl, no more than 5 or 6 years of age. You stand upon a frosty windowsill above a stuffed toy box. Nearby, you see the girl's bed, covers tossed away as she snuck out and across her room, peeking out her door for a glimpse of Santa. You see her dresser, a closet, glow-in-the-dark stickers on the ceiling, and on the floor there are toys and books and models. There's a basketball, a jump rope, a book about dragons, a tiara, a plastic sword, a butterfly puppet, and a bin of plastic building blocks. Your task is to get the child back to sleep. In her bed would be best. Remember, you cannot be seen and she cannot see Santa. So as you crouch there on the frosty windowsill, Snowflake, what is your plan?
My plan is I am going to sneak across the wall over to the side of her bed where I noticed that her parents have a nice alarm clock radio and it's sitting over there. And I'm going to sneak over and climb up on her bed and hide behind her pillow near the radio. And I'm going to use my wit here, and I'm going to start to sing a little Christmas song with making it look like the lights on the radio is going to come on. And I'm going to start to sing. On the housetop, reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus, all with a bundle of lots of toys, all for the little ones, girls and boys.
The child does turn, hears this singing coming from near her radio, and crosses the room. She makes no effort to be quiet as she's going, because why would she? She's in her room. So she kicks toys and the basketball and a little piñata out of the way that was on the floor and climbs into her bed to look at the alarm clock. But I will have you make a roll to see how well this goes, how well she believes this. So go ahead and give me let's say an improvised check.
And I'm going to use my wit again.
Okay.
And I'm going to check it twice.
Okay. So you check it twice, you really go over the lyrics of the song and the right pitch. She comes over to the bed, climbs into bed, and is looking at the alarm clock. She's very near you now, and you're hiding behind the alarm clock.
And with the sleeping powder right into her since she's in bed.
So that's going to be either a nimble or a tough check, whichever you'd prefer.
It'll be a nimble check. My nimble and my tough are the same. I'm more of a bookworm than I am somebody who's actually spent a lot of time. So I'm going to rely on this to happen.
Okay.
And I got a 10.
Perfect. So with that, the sleeping dust pod explodes in her face. She kind of blinks blearily, yawns, and smiles, and then collapses back into bed. As the little girl drifts off to sleep, and you can picture the sugar plums dancing in her dreams, you hear the jangle of jingle bells, and a swirl of snow races across the room. When you blink past the rush of wind, you find yourself atop a parking garage. Santa's sleigh is next to you with his 8 reindeer. You know the big man is inside the building next door. A flash of moonlight on something shining on the ground catches your eye, and you realize the main control ring of the reindeer's harness is broken. Good thing you spotted it, but you need to find a replacement, and fast. A wide concrete parking garage roof stretches away into the dark around you. Soft snow dusts every surface, and you see a few cars parked a short ways away. A ramp descends into the lower levels of the garage to one side, and the darkened city skyline stretches out on all sides. You know Santa is visiting the apartment building next to the garage, but will return soon. You must find a way to repair or replace that ring on the reindeer harness. Remember, if you're going to take something that might be missed, you should replace it with the broken ring. Leave no trace. So there you stand, Snowflake. What would your plan be?
So I stand in this garage and I look at that ring and I look at the cars and what's around in this garage, and I notice that there's a trash bin over in the corner where people who get out of their cars will toss their litter and their garbage. And I run really quickly over to that trash bin, and I look inside, and I notice...
So you want to try to scavenge around in the trash bin. Okay,
Yeah.
let's see if you can find something useful. So go ahead and give me an improvise check, because you're looking for something in the trash bin that will work as this thing.
8, 9, 10.
Perfect. So inside the trash bin, you managed to locate an old dog leash that has, look, it's been thrown away, and it has a ring on it that is just the right size. So it'll be a disable trap to try to take it apart so you can have the piece you need. So go ahead and give me a disable trap.
And that's 9, 10, 11.
Perfect. So you managed to, your deft fingers, you've spent years putting together toys, you've created decorations and ornaments. It takes no time for you to unthread the leash off of it. You got the ring, you run back to the sleigh to make the repairs. With a snap and a glimmer of magic, the ring reattaches to the harness. Santa's sleigh is repaired. You stand up and dust yourself off. A job well done, but then freeze as you notice something is missing. The sound of jingle bells seems to hang in the air as the snow swirls. Taking a few steps back, you start to count and name the reindeer. 1, Dasher. 2, Dancer. 3, Prancer. 4, Vixen. 5, Comet. 6, Cupid. 7, Donner. 7 reindeer? You realize a reindeer is missing. Blitzen must have slipped off his harness while you were repairing the sleigh. Out of the corner of your eye, you see a rapidly descending form of Blitzen flying through the night air without his harness. You rush to the edge of the parking garage and look down, losing sight of the reindeer as it lands in a nearby park and runs off into the trees. You need to act fast, get down to that park and catch up to Blitzen. Somehow, you need to get the reindeer back to the sleigh. The park stretches out into the dark, covered in snow. You can see a fountain in the center with a stone bear frozen over with ice. A playground, an ice skating rink, trails to walk on, and benches to sit upon. So part 1 of this, Snowflake, is to get off the parking garage, and part 2 is to find Blitzen. How would you start this?
So I pull out my book of Christmas Past because the story sounds very, very familiar to me. And I look again, and as I look in my Christmas book, and I realize that in what was it again? Let me find that. I knew I had it. In 1973, in Sydney, Santa was inside a house delivering presents, and Blitzen got free then too. And from his harness, and he ran by into a nearby park. This sounds very familiar, and it looks just exactly like what just happened here. And at that time, in 1973, if I understand it correctly, and I'm reading properly, it said they had quite a hard time getting him back. And in the end, what they really did, it was by using the oats in our travel pack, and sprinkling that on the ground. And if I remember, oats and glitter seem to help attract the reindeer. So I'm gonna go to the side of the parking garage where I watched him run. I'm gonna use my tinsel and rope it, and make a rope and climb and shimmy down.
Okay, sounds great. Give me an improvise check to see how well your repelling gear works.
I'm gonna use my chicken twice.
So you check your gear twice before you jump on it in order to make that sure that there's no complications.
The holiday traditionalist is a stickler for details.
You slide down the tinsel rope, hit the ground running, and into the park you go. Then what would you do?
So as I'm running, I'm reaching into my bag and I'm taking out the oats, and I'm making sure that I have the oats ready, and then I'm taking the tinsel and I'm starting to, what's left of my tinsel, and I'm starting to shred little pieces of it. And as I get into the park, I'm going to start to lie the tinsel around in an area and drop the oats right to the center.
Perfect. Sounds like you're trying to improvise a reindeer lure. So go ahead and give me an improvise check with whatever skill you'd like.
9, 10, 11.
Perfect. 11. So the glitter circle goes out, the oats get tossed in the middle, and within 30 seconds, Blitzen comes charging out of the bushes, starts eating the oats, and you're trained on how to use the reindeer and how to manage them. You grab his harness, let him eat a few oats, and then fly him back up to the garage to get him all attached to the sleigh. As you secure Blitzen's harness and all 8 reindeer prance and pace in excitement, you hear a kindly chuckle behind you and the sound of jingle bells. A swirl of snow blows by as you turn and see Santa standing there with a wide smile.
Well, I hope the reindeer didn't give you too much trouble. You're doing a great job, and we're all finished for the night. Why, every child on Earth has been given a gift from the North Pole. I really couldn't do this without you elves. Say, since it's been such a long night, why don't you pilot the sleigh? I'll take a nap in the back. But do try to get us back to the North Pole as fast as you can and keep the sleigh in one piece, all right? Ho, ho, ho!
And you find yourself flying in the night, high over the darkened earth. On your right, the sky is growing light. The sun is coming up on Christmas morning, and you have to hurry back to the North Pole. Looking left and right, you see your fellow competitors and know that this part of the competition will be a straight-up race. Thank you for joining us for the third leg of the Top Elf Games, an original holiday adventure written by Guy and Jen Pope. All three of the contestants have tackled the challenges of Festive Field, and next week will be our exciting finale as they race back to the North Pole. Thanks again, and happy holidays, everyone.